Present.
Pat,
Here.
Wilczynski, here. Ritter,
Here.
Funkhauser,
Here.
Spear, Teeling. Here.
Okay, I know we do have several amendments to the agenda. Let's see, under Public Works, Kendall Marketplace Infrastructure, we're going to be tabling that. EDC, the ordinance approving the Fourth Amendment to the Imperial Investment Agreement, we're going to table that. And the Grand Reserve Amendment, PUD, we're going to table that. Do we need a motion for those two, or?
Motion to the agenda as amended.
Okay. Okay, motion.
I'll make the motion.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
I should ask first, is there any other amendments to the agenda? Okay. Next, we do have a couple of presentations. First one's a good one. Is Brian Coughlin here from the Coughlin Institute? Here, Brian, why don't you go forward? Brian is here to present the city with a Government Transparency Award, which I think, probably about 6 or 8 months ago, we did the transparency study.
Yeah.
So you can talk a little bit about the policy and the award. Brian, that'd be great.
All right, well, thank you for having me here. My name is Brian Costin. I'm from the Illinois Policy Institute. And we have a project called the Local Transparency Project, which really is about creating standards for local governments across the state of Illinois in regards to online transparency. And we were approached by the city of Yorkville. And that's kind of unique because we do proactive audits of a lot of local government agencies throughout the state, but Yorkville somehow found out about our project and contacted us and said, hey, we want to adopt a lot of the principles within the 10-point transparency checklist and make Yorkville more transparent for its residents. So we've worked with the city of Yorkville over a process of time, and we are here tonight to award them a certificate in regards to their achievement. And just to give a kind of an idea, it's not an easy award to get. We've been doing this for over 3 years, and I think we've graded somewhere over 300 different local government entities in the state of Illinois. And any local government entity in the state can reach out to us and request to be graded. There's over 6,500 local government entities in the state of Illinois, and I believe that we're right about 40 who have earned the Sunshine Board from the Illinois Policy Institute. So it really puts Yorkville in kind of a rare but very good air in regards to online transparency. So I wanted to read the certificate here. It's a certificate of achievement from the Illinois Policy Institute, and we would like to recognize the United City of Yorkville for achieving an 84.9% score on the Local Transparency Project. And we enthusiastically applaud the efforts of the elected officials, administration, staff of the United City of Yorkville to be more open and accountable to residents and taxpayers. And so I'd like to thank Bart Olson for his work on this project, and I'd also like to present this to the mayor as a sign of our appreciation for what the city has done.
Well, thank you very much, Brian. Thanks very much. And as Brian mentioned, we did actually reach out to the Illinois Policy Institute after, I didn't know much about it, to be honest, but after Kendall County, I know that it was never really failed their first time or their second time. But we said, let's see how we stack up, you know, and they came out, and like I said, I think we scored 85 or so on the first time around. And we've made changes since then, so we'll probably be close to 100. And DuPage County was at 100. I think it was DuPage County. Kane County was at 100, and I said, I mean, that's our goal right there. I think if we can do a little bit of work to increase, you know, public trust at the local level, I think it's worth every bit of time that we put into it. So.
And one thing I'll just quickly add is that, you know, sometimes when someone does this locally, it inspires others of surrounding communities. And I noticed recently Kendall County has done an upgrade of their website, and they're looking to get rescored in the near future. And I think part of the reason is that there's other local examples like Yorkville that are kind of leading the way on that. So thank you.
No, I know the county made a lot of strides, and I'm sure they'll be much, much improved. thank you very much, because like I said, I think it's an important issue for all local governments, so thank you again. Next, I do have a plaque. We would like to recognize somebody now. If Don Hirsch from the Lions Club is here, Don, can you come forward? The Lions Club actually donated much needed amenity to the city. It is a beautiful shelter at our Bridge baseball park. Don and the Lions Club just recently finished it. We had a little celebration here this Sunday to christen the shelter. I don't know how many of you have young children that play baseball, but out at Bridge, there's no place to get out of the sun or the rain or the elements. And it can be dangerous sometimes for grandparents coming to watch with balls flying out of the baseball fields. So this gives everyone a nice place to get out of the rain and out of the sun and to watch from a nice area. So we would like to present this to you guys. The Mayor and City Council of the United City of Yorkville present this plaque to the Yorkville Lions Club in recognition of their generous donation of a shelter at Bridge Park for all to enjoy. Presented this 27th day of August, 2013. Or some of their efforts in the community?
Well, basically, we're a service organization, and we do a lot with people that can't afford to do things for their vision or their hearing. And if they've gone through all their resources, usually we work with school children. And if the resources aren't there, we help out with going through the Red Eye Clinic and providing them with classes. We've also provided some hearing aids in the community. It's nice to be able to do this shelter for the ballpark, basically because the proceeds that we got from the swimming pool that was also shared, well, we and the YMCA over here on East Main Street, we used partial proceeds from that to build this shelter. So we're trying to keep it within the city.
Right.
So we hope that everybody can get out there and use it.
Yes, it is a great addition. Thank you again very much, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, next we do have a number of public hearings. So we will open public hearing for PC 2013-09. Mr. Pete Oakpatine. Close enough. Petitioner and owner has filed an application with the United City of Yorkville, Kendall County, Illinois, requesting annexation by an annexation agreement for an approximately .87 acre parcel of land located in unincorporated Kendall County. The subject property is generally located east of Illinois Road 47, immediately south of McHugh Road, and just west of Farmstead Drive in Kendall County, Illinois. It is proposed that the subject property be zoned within the city's R4 General Residence District for future multifamily residence development. So if there is someone here for petitioner or petitioner himself, if they would like to start the public hearing, describe the project or anything, that would be fine. If you would like to take the floor first, if not, I can open it up to the public if you would like.
Who's the public?
Okay. So is there anyone here from the public who would like to comment on this PC 2013-09? Yes, sir. Would you please just sign in and state your name for the record, please?
Okay, my name's Tom Lilla. I live at 649 Heartland Drive. And we met up with the Plan Commission 2 weeks ago. Well, first of all, I want to start by saying thanks for giving us the opportunity to speak. I'm kind of here tonight on behalf of my family, myself, and the neighbors of Heartland Subdivision. We came a couple weeks ago and talked to the Plan Commission about this particular petition, and the piece of property that's in question, or that's before the you guys are talking about today, is backs right up to my house, and I've got young children, and there's a proposal on there that the gentleman who owns the property would like to annex it and have its own general residence for future multifamily development. Kind of went through some of my concerns last time. I don't know if you want me to list them, but we're definitely against that. It's a single-family home area. Everything on McHugh Road is single home all the way down to Main Street. Heartland Drive is all single family, so we have a couple different things. And one, we really want to have single family homes back right up to our subdivision for safety issues, property issues, property values. We think long term, there may be some negative effects to allowing more multifamily, particularly in that area. It could affect our schools. So we'd ask that the City Council please consider the long-term effects of it, and that, and also the Planning Commission's voting viewpoint on it, and please reject that petition. So that's all I've got to say. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sure. Is there anyone else would like to
Yes, sir.
comment on this? Please stand in and state your name for the record, please.
My name is Richard Schroeder, and I live at 683 Heartland Drive. And my property borders directly behind this property in question tonight. As Tom said, we met with the Planning Commission 2 weeks ago, and this property has always been a single-family home. It would be out of place as a multi-family dwelling. It would not fit in the neighborhood. Objections that I have to it is this property has not been well maintained by the present owner. I have presently chickens running through my yard from the petitioner's renter, who's been renting to. I have 8-foot-tall weeds behind my house. It's pretty unsightly. I'm really kind of embarrassed to invite people over to my very nice home because they have to look at this horrible-looking property behind me. Came home one night last year to the weeds on fire because the renter decided that rather than cut the weeds, he would light them on fire to get rid of them. I don't think that this has any place as a multifamily dwelling. This gentleman cannot keep his renter under control now. What's going to do when he gets a multifamily residence? The Planning Commission voted 5-0 against this. James Weaver, who was on the Planning Commission, called this property an eyesore. I think that's a little mild. I would call it more like a blight. This needs to be rejected. Please, please listen to the wisdom of your Planning Commission and reject this petition. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anything else? Anybody else?
Hi, my name is Robin Arnfeld, and I live at 661 Heartland Drive. These are my neighbors. So our 3 properties are the fortunate ones that adjoin this. I don't have a whole lot new to say, but I wanted to emphasize when I moved into the Heartland subdivision, it was for the nice, safe family surrounding for my children to be able to walk the sidewalks and feel safe in there. And when you start to look at what could happen to that property back there, the idea of a multi-family housing unit, depends on the condition it's kept in, obviously, but it just starts to feel like it's going to start to take on the neighborhood, especially if it's lower income. And I have terrible concerns over the way the property's been maintained over the last several years too. As Rich mentioned, the weeds every year is a major project for me as the weeds creep into my yard and I have to deal with it. When no one was living on the property for a while, it became overrun with rabbits and mice, and we all had to do special things in our window wells to protect ourselves from that. So it just starts to feel like somebody who can't control the existing property, how will they maintain it when there's many families that are living there? So I just wanted to reiterate all the same concerns for safety and the property values in our area. And if you haven't been out in that area, I'd highly recommend just drive by there. It won't take you much to form an opinion on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
One other thing, we put together a petition asking the Planning Commission to reject that proposal. We showed it at the last meeting. If you guys want to take a look at it,
Was it entered into the record at Planning Commission, Christie?
Yes, it was.
Okay, it's already entered into the record. That's fine. If there's nobody else, I will open it up to the city council if they'd like to comment now, or can we wait until before us? Yes, sir.
Well, I unfortunately drive by there every day after I pick up my kids from daycare there, and I haven't been able to safely turn right onto McHugh from Farmstead since I've had children. So the one trying to start me is, hey, we can actually chop down that tree. But then the outcome further along is kind of what freaks me out. So I hope that the tree miraculously falls down in a couple months, but I don't see the multifamily dwelling making more sense.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I feel the same way about the freezers. The only way I would annex this property into the city is if we can keep it at R1. Keep it at most restrictive zoning, and then we can enforce our ordinances on this property. I'd be interested in doing that because it is an eyesore. I drive by it all the time. There's some nice colored pictures in our packets for us to review the property. And really, the condition of the property is atrocious. So there's no way that we are going to approve this to be a denser property in R4 to allow multiple family units to go on this property when just one unit can control itself. So I feel pretty confident that the votes are there and this decision will be rejected when we have the opportunity to vote.
Any other questions, comments?
I was just gonna say, I agree also with all of the speakers in close enough. And I would like, I know the county doesn't have any ordinances because it's in the, and they don't have anything to, take care of this, but if they could look into it and see what they could do about it, that would be awesome.
If there happens to be a county board member sitting
I
in the
know,
audience.
that's why I brought it up.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I follow my fellow alderman, and I think Diane had a very good, if we can't get this cleaned up, then let's see if we get the town to help us get it cleaned up.
Okay. Enough said? Okay.
Not that I'm in favor of changing allowing this to be multifamily, but are we missing the obvious that if we annex this, we have property standards controls over this property to alleviate the eyesore issue that is on this property currently? The traffic problem that is currently there, we can work with that. We have issues that we can't control, they're out of our control right now, we have the ability to do that. It's not something to consider the option on this property to be able to alleviate the problems that do exist there.
And that's a good point, but I still don't think multifamily is the answer. I mean, I agree. You're not saying that R1 would be.
R1, yeah. R1 may be a little more appropriate. R4 may be a little aggressive, but something here. Obviously, there are some other uses in that area. We have commercial uses. We do have some multifamily downtown a little bit further, so it's not out of the realm for what the area is. R4 might be aggressive, but in general land planning, this type of use is not uncommon. Having a major road with multifamily fronting it, single family on the other side, it's not uncommon to have that in these type of applications looking at what the surrounding.
Can I just clarify, what's before us really tonight is just the annexation, but by say we vote on the annexation, that is not green to the zoning. That would be a whole separate matter.
Yeah, you want to talk? I'm just going to comment. It is the annexation agreement, and the agreement is conditioned on their receiving R4. So if you don't approve the agreement, you don't approve the zoning, you don't approve the agreement. They can always come in and amend that. This is just a public hearing.
And we usually approve 3 ordinances at once. Usually the ordinance authorizing the annexation agreement, the annexing ordinance, and those are zoning.
I just wanted to point out, if I remember correctly from the planning commission and the packet, it was 8, or I don't know, like an 8-plex,
Yeah.
and on less than an acre. I think that's a lot too.
Christine, I thought I heard the planning commission that if it wasn't agreed to with the current language, then we still annex it or not?
No, we can't.
That's what I
The
thought.
agreement is stipulated to the zone change to R4.
Anyone else? So then we will close the public hearing for PC 2013-09. And we will open the public hearing for PC 2013-12. An amendment to that certain annexation agreement, precedent of Yorkville subdivision, dated April 26, 2005, by and among Yorkville Farms Development LLC, owner developer, and Illinois Limited Liability Corporation, and the United City of Yorkville, Kendall County, Illinois, for the purpose of amending the agreement regarding the re-subdivision of lot 358 for a private high school with accessory uses, recalculation of impact fees, revised school and park land cash fees, extension of fee and ordinance locks, and other miscellaneous site development improvements related to the proposed school land use. The proposed accessory use improvements may include a retail school store, an equestrian arena and stable, cellular telephone tower, wind turbine, electronic scoreboard, public address system, lighting, concession, restrooms for athletic fields, outdoor storage, farm equipment, grain bins and greenhouses, street parking along Mustang Way, and delayed construction of on-site parking, school bus parking and garage, and off-premise electronic school identification sign, and building height exceptions. So do we have anyone from the petitioner who would like to start out? Mr. John?
Yes, good evening. My name is John Philipchuk. I'm an attorney with offices at 111 East Jefferson Avenue in Yorkville, Illinois. I'm here this evening representing John and Michelle Stewart. John and Michelle purchased the Crestwood Yorkville subdivision earlier this year, and it's their intention to try to breathe some life back into the development. Part of their vision is they see a need in our community for a Christian high school. As you know, we address the lower grades. We don't have that option for residents of Yorkville or this area to have their children attend a Christian-oriented high school. So they are proposing to take about 32 acres of the Crestwood subdivision, eliminate 84 buildable lots, and create a high school site on the property. So as part of that, and looking at the fact that they do intend to redevelop the subdivision also, they would like to obviously get some home buyers to buy lots and builders to buy lots and begin to bring some new life in the way of home building to the subdivision. And there's the future Unit 2 to deal with. And so as a result of all of these various decisions, we took a look at that existing annexation agreement that the city of Yorkville entered into. That was back in 2005 with the Yorkville Farms Development LLC. And we felt that there was a need, because of what has happened to the housing market and land values, et cetera, in the interim, to take a look at how we can approach the city council, ask for some modifications to that agreement to help us to achieve both dreams, if you will, rejuvenating subdivision and creating a Christian high school in the community. So as a result, I think staff did an excellent job, and the memorandum that they sent you with regard to the background, what the proposed revised agreement is addressing. We had an opportunity to appear before the Planning Commission with our plat. We have a final plat re-subdivision where we're taking a part of that Unit 1, incorporating it and taking out those lots that were the 84 single-family lots. And as part of that, we did get some feedback from some of the neighbors about some of the uses that we were talking about in the agreement. We wanted to put a lot of things on the table for the city to consider. But as a result of some of those concerns that they had, like obviously they had a concern about the eventuality of a cell tower or a wind turbine, and some variances for height. So what we've done is we have since taken those items out of the agreement. We're not asking for those items. We understand that if there was an eventuality in the future, something were to come about, that we could approach the city, request the appropriate special use permit or variances as may be. But right now, the proposal is to meet the height limitations of that R2 zoning district. A school, as you know, is a permitted use. The variations on any signing will come back to you on that, because obviously your sign ordinance doesn't really contemplate this kind of a facility in a residential area, although it's permitted. So we will have to come in and talk with the council further, go through the ZBA first, about the signage that we'd like to have, as most schools, as you know, do. So that we will address in the future. But for the most part, we're just looking to see how we can make some modifications here that will improve the conditions out there and allow us to proceed with that redevelopment. So we have a final plat that's going to be coming to City Council. Engineering has been submitted. That's being reviewed by your engineering consultant. So that will be a report obviously coming back, and we'll address that as we always do with staff and your consultant. We have looked at some of the donations and contributions. We're looking to try to roll back some of the pricing that was in that ordinance. You'll recall 2005, 2006, boy, everything was really rolling. We were increasing land cash fees almost yearly, and values were going up, and everybody was full of fun, and all that came to a crash. And now we have to see, okay, where do the pieces fall? How do we pick them up, and how do we proceed? So one of the things we are asking is that you look at some of these options that we're proposing, as far as some of the contribution, getting credit for some of the road improvements that we're going to be doing to Route 126, because obviously there's Pendon Road intersect that serves part of the subdivision. We have Ashley Road that serves our development, but obviously in the future that'll be servicing more of the land development as it occurs to the south and to the east of the Prestwick subdivision. So these are things that we're going to spend a lot of money on improving, and we think that working together with the city, it can benefit all parties by addressing those issues and helping get those improvements done sooner rather than later. The land cash, as per your ordinance, we had engaged Kruger, the appraisal service, to do a study on what the current land values are for an improved acre of land. As you know, the purpose of the ordinance is to provide either land for a park or a school, or if none is required in that particular subdivision, then you would provide cash in an amount that's established by ordinance based on the fair market value of an improved acre to allow the city to park or the school district to acquire land that would be in a location that suits and takes care of the residents of that subdivision. Your attorney will tell you it's specifically uniquely attributable as what's looked at. And so you just can't take the money and go spend it way over there. You got to try to serve the residents of that community. So we think the staff's recommendation about why don't we look at maybe we've got a park that we're going to dedicate about 6 acres, and maybe we could take the balance and do a parking lot to help serve the people, the families that are using the park, where they're coming to ball games, etc. So we think that's a pretty good idea. We'd be willing to work with the city and the staff on pursuing that. Our big variance, if you will, is the reality of the world today. Back the last time the ordinance was looked at officially, you had the land value set at $101,000 an acre. Ladies and gentlemen, our appraiser says it's $25,000 an acre today. So that's the stark reality of it. I know it's hard to swallow, but let's be fair about it. The ordinance says, what does it cost to buy the acre of land improved? That's what should be charged. That's what should be donated. And it's not $101,000, it's $25,000. So that's a big one to digest, but please look at that appraisal and we can discuss that further. There are some other amendments to the ordinance. We looked at trying to get some of the fees back to where they were, and in some cases prior to where this agreement was entered into back in 2005. Most of them we agreed to. We asked you to look at some parking. We're going to transition the school. Ultimately, we hope that someday there may be 800, 850 students in the school, but obviously starting out it won't be quite that. Rather than going in and building a parking lot now, tomorrow, to serve 800 students, we thought we could do it in phases, and that was one of the things we threw out there. And we would like to get started on our land development as soon as possible. So as you've worked with other developers, like the theater, the new theater going up over here on 47, we hope you'll work with us so we can get some early dirt permits to try to get in there yet this fall and get the dirt moved before winter sets in and get a foundation in the ground for the new school so we can be building over the winter months. The various land use considerations that staff pointed out, we concur with as far as the various uses, except, as I said, we did take out some of those that they felt were incompatible, and so as a result, staff was given a revised annexation agreement that shows those requests as being taken out. The overall tone of the school, if you've seen any of the renderings, it's an ag-oriented school, if you will. to recognize some of the rich agricultural heritage of the Yorkville area, and the fact that there are some folks in the community who will continue to do farming operations, and some of these children, as they come up, will have an opportunity not only to get a good high school education, but to also have some activities that revolve around the architectural heritage of the community in the area. So it's very unique. I think it's a bold statement by the stewards. I think it's wonderful that they're willing to undertake this themselves. Obviously, any students that we put in this school, the taxpayers are not supporting over here across the street in our public high school. And so I think that's obviously a good thing. They are reducing the density of the subdivision by doing this by 84 units, so that's usually considered a good thing. So all in all, we think the location is good. We've submitted a traffic study from KLOA addressing the traffic issues. We've had meetings with IDOT. We'll continue to meet with IDOT now that we have the traffic study, because they had asked to see that. So we're prepared to do that. Dave Schultz from HR Green is our civil engineer, and of course they've been looking at all the various engineering issues to make sure that everything's designed in accordance with the city's ordinances, and we believe that they have. And the final engineering, as I said before, is in and being reviewed. So all in all, we think that this is a very positive move for the subdivision. Unfortunately, there's 4 residents who've been sitting out there pretty alone for a number of years now with their homes. Obviously, getting some more energy back in the subdivision, getting some more homes built will help to create community there and hopefully increase their land values. And as a result, we would certainly ask that the City Council favorably consider this amendment to the annexation agreement that allow us to go forward. Happy to answer any questions if it's appropriate at this time, otherwise I can.
Thank you, Mr. Coltrane. Let's take any comments from the audience.
Very good.
If there's any questions that you can answer, that'd be fine. Do we have anyone from the audience who would like to comment on this agreement?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I'm George Mahoney. And I'm here tonight representing the Block family, who are really next door neighbors to this property. I practice law, incidentally, for the record, on Main Street with Mahoney Silken across in Oswego, Illinois. And so, as I see the issue before you tonight, it's really fairly direct, because although some people might be talking about, is this project financed, that's not my client's concern. My client's concern was really 4 things, now principally down to 2. And the things that were addressed earlier, the elimination of the cell phone tower, the elimination of the generation facilities and the windmill on the site, certainly make some big strides. But the issue before us that we see is really the stormwater management issues, and also the road improvements to Ashley Road and 126. Our engineer, Chris Burke, is in the process of trying to secure that data, that engineering that was done by the developer's engineer, to study the implication of stormwater management on the site. And at the Plan Commission, some of you might have heard that they suggested that there was really no more stormwater management required for the site other than what was originally proposed, although at least 1/3 of this property now will be developed either with buildings or parking lots or driveways. And even today, with no development on the site, we are experiencing significant stormwater issues. And so that's an issue that we really want to discuss with the city and with the developer, so that we are assured, not in the past experience that you had with property owned by the Blocks, but this experience, that there are no problems with stormwater management on the site. And it seems ironic that when you look at your engineer's letter of July 23rd, and it's in your board packet, it talks about the myriad things that as yet have not been done. And then when you look at your engineer's response of August 14, there are 3 items that are addressed, but some very key items remain unaddressed. And so you have to consider from a ordinance standpoint, from a public policy standpoint, what's right for your residents. Because remaining unaddressed is that stormwater management study. Remaining unaddressed is the traffic study, at least at that time. Not addressed in your engineer's letter, where you are going to have projected 800 students who are going to be attending this facility, many of them who will be entering on Ashley, and many who will be exiting on 126th Street. The Beacon News talked about an accident again on 126th today. And so is it good public policy when you have so many unanswered questions, when you have your engineer telling you in its August 14 letter that the final plat can change, to approve it? The other issue, though, is really more fundamental, and it really gets to the issue of the jurisdiction of your council, Mr. Mayor, to hear this issue today. And I'm referring you to 1014.8 of your ordinances. And the ordinances talk about, for an annexation agreement, there has to be notice to the adjoining property owners within 500 feet. And within 24 hours prior to this hearing, the return receipt from certified mail or registered mail have to be filed with the city. Your staff can tell you if that's done, but if it's not, I suggest you can't even have this hearing. But take a look at the annexation agreement of 2005, because really what's proposed, there are several things that are really significant. And I'm not saying you can't do them, but you have to do them if you want to follow your ordinances and good public policy correctly. And that is really having livestock on an R2 residential zone property under your current ordinance. To have an issue with a retail sales on that property. And I suggest to you that under your current ordinances, as it relates to this property, you can't do it. So, for example, if you agree that your current ordinances do not permit livestock on residential property, then under your ordinances, under 1014.8 of your ordinances, prior to this council having any hearing at all on an annexation agreement, it's got to be heard before the Plan Commission or the Zoning Board of Appeals, depending whether it's an amendment to the zoning ordinance or a variance. And then it comes back here. And then this council sets a hearing on the annexation agreement. And recognize, please, that there was no hearing that I'm aware of before either your Planning Commission or Zoning Board. And there are several issues. For example, the issue of livestock on the property or outdoor parking of farm machinery in a residential district. And so if you believe that your ordinances don't allow it, you've got to send it back because your hearing is not appropriate. If you believe that it is, and you proceed ahead, the issue you're confronting then is that person in a single family residence in an R2 district who decides that it's an accessory use, which is what you've been told you can do. It's an accessory use to have livestock is being proposed here tonight. And have that person put livestock on their developed single-family home because you have established the precedent and have taken the position that it's an accessory use. Or to say that you can store machinery outside on your property because you have determined by approving the ordinance as it's written that it's an accessory use. And so I think you're going to say, we don't allow that. That's why I'm suggesting that this, at this juncture, is not the correct time or a place for authority of this council to consider the annexation agreement. But it can be done, and as a part of that, we'd like to participate with the city to review the issues of great importance to the lots. The implication of drainage, and they're having significant problems now as it's currently designed, and we were told that there was no changes proposed from the current drainage design. And secondly, to look with you on the proposed improvements to Ashley and 126th, because your decision is going to affect not only the lives of the residents of the city of Yorkville, but the projected 800 students who attend that school each school day. Thank you, sir.
Do we have any other public comment?
Good evening. I am President of Giant Institute, newly appointed 75th District, and I'm here in support of my friends John and Michelle in the Yorkville High School. I'm also a community leader. I'm also someone that believes in community. And I believe that as this high school is built, we can really bring the community to Yorkville on a scale that is yet to be seen. John and Michelle were my friends before I became a city representative, and they'll be my friends even after this. And I ask you, as the council and Mr. Mayor, if you guys would approve this high school to be built. It's needed. When you go out to the agricultural community, they all will tell you to have a place where they can help build and create kids who already understand the functions and duties of what it means to be out in the agricultural field, irrigation. And these kids will actually learn these things at a very young age. And we're creating leaders and building leaders. So I ask that you guys would consider allowing this high school to be built. As someone whose district it's also in, I also have kids. I have 4 kids that should this high school be built, all 4 of my kids will attend this high school. So, without any further comment, I ask that you would support this high school. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anthony, and congratulations on the appointment. I think our GOP chairman got it right. Do we have any other public comment on this issue?
Good evening. My name is Andy Shaw, and I'm the interim pastor at Crossroads Evangelical Church in the school south of town, and I'm here in support of Michelle and John Stewart as well this evening. I must say to you that before my tenure began at Crossroads, I was in the public education sector for 6 years, and I will say from personal experience that when I was passing the signs for Yorkville Christian High School, there was neither excitement nor is there disappointment in my mind, because of my years of experience in the public sector, not only as a student but also as an employee, I realized that just because it's private does not necessarily mean the quality of education is any better. However, all my prejudices and any other thoughts I had in my mind were dissuaded once I actually sat down and spoke with John and Michelle Stewart. It was at that point that any preconceived notions I had about why this building was going in all vanished, only because I got to know John and Michelle's heart, that it was not just because they wanted another parochial school in the area to be built. It was much more behind that. I was amazed to sit back and hear both John and Michelle's personal stories as just to why they wanted to provide more opportunities for the youngsters in this area to be able to have a quality education. And being a product of the quality of the Yorkville public education system, I can see no reason why Michelle and John would not, with the qualities of stewardship that they have, be able to contribute immensely and collaborate to provide to contribute to the already quality education they're receiving here in Kendall County. So again, as a character reference, I advocate the annexation of this high school and in support of John and Michelle Stewart, their vision, their drive, their determination to provide increased options for higher education in this area. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else from the public would like to comment? If nobody else, then I would like to. Would you like to comment, sir?
Yes, thank you. Hi, my name is Ivan Truman. I'm the pastor of Grace Community Church here in Yorkville. Thank you for giving me that meeting. Having been pastoring for 17 years and raised a family, I wish that I could have been able to send my kids to a Christian high school. In those days, it was built. I would like to publicly state that I support John and Michelle and what they're attempting to do. I'm not an expert on Christian education, but I have a lot of it, and I've been somewhat of a student of it for quite some time in my life. The influence of Christian education in this country has always been a positive impact on communities. Most of our most famous hospitals, research centers in this country, albeit even the YMCA, even the influence of a couple, well, a family of redneck guys who call themselves Duck Dynasty is still having an impact upon our country, and a positive impact, not because of the duck calls, but the underlying premise that there is a morality that creates an atmosphere of safety for a community. You want to create a feeling of safety for a community, then support an institution that will support parents' desire to still have their kids grow up and honor mom and dad. Most parents still want that for their kids. Most parents still want their kids to not grow up to be murderers. Most parents still want their kids to grow up and not be liars. Most parents still want their kids to grow up and not steal by going online and downloading free term papers and then putting the name at the bottom and turning it in. Most parents still want their kids to grow up and God go and get married and stay faithful in that marriage. That's what creates a society that is moving forward. It always has been that way. And I'm glad I'm part of this community. I'm glad to be able to support John and Michelle. And I know that you will as well.
Thank you, Pastor. Anyone else?
My name is Laura Hubbard. I would like to say that I'm not at all against the idea of a Christian school. I think it's fabulous and maybe even needed in the community. However, other issues involved in this project that I think need attention, serious attention, need to be studied. And I feel like as a resident of the area needing some assurances that the impact from this meeting, especially traffic, 126 is a very, very dangerous road. If you're talking about high school students, you're also talking about new drivers. And that's just very unnerving to me. Stormwater management, that's a big concern. There's people that lived there long before these developments came that their livelihood is farming, and I think we need to be very attentive to their needs and their rights. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Phillips, do you have anything else? Please comment.
There's one more. Okay. Get your exercise done.
My name is Irene Weiss, and I own a property just north of 126 across from the property that we're talking about tonight. And I'm just curious, I mean, what is going to be the tuition fees for a school like this? How many people are really going to be able to afford to send their children to a school like this with the economy that we all hear about every day, the way that it is now? I mean, how is that going to be for this situation? That's my question. I'm just thinking about that, curious. So, thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Dan, you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, just did a couple points of clarification, if I may. I think that was a good Good question about the fees. I know I see people from my subdivision here in Yorkville take their kids out every day and they drive them to Aurora because they either attend Aurora Christian or Aurora Central Catholic. So there are people that live in this community have to drive their kids or the kids drive themselves to Aurora to attend Christian school. So it is done, and we believe that there will be sufficient family interest in the area that they're willing to pay that extra amount to send their children to private school. My colleague, Mr. Capone, I think, is trying to make a point about the zoning issues under the annexation agreement. Is trying to tell you that this annexation hearing was not proper. And I can assure you that it's proper. Proper procedures were filed. You can ask your city attorney.
If it wasn't proper, we wouldn't be holding it.
Exactly. So I didn't want you to think that, oh my gosh, what are we doing here tonight? This was properly noticed that we had a proper hearing. If there are zoning issues that come up and council feels that there's something that has been considered as an excessive use, is not, then fine. We'll have to come in and have a hearing and get the zoning or the variance approval. I said that earlier. I'm aware of high schools everywhere that have bookstores inside the high schools. That's what we're talking about here. That's the retail component. The stable, we're not having a stable. What we said was because of this agricultural theme, we may have some activities, athletic type activities for the students. There may be like barrel racing or things like that that involve horses, and that we could have temporary overnight stabling of the horses if another school or group came in. That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about keeping horses in a facility. It's not an equestrian center. It's not a riding facility. We're only talking about incidental use in conjunction with the operation of the school and some of the programs. Same thing with having farm machinery there. The students will be taught how to work on farm equipment, much as they do in metal shop motor mechanics in a lot of high schools. So it's just a different avenue. And again, we feel that these are not issues that will create a major impediment to the citizens of the area. And again, if for some reason the city determines that they're not accessory uses, that's fine. We can come back and we can request proper zoning or amendments or variances or whatever it is. But please don't be frightened into thinking that none of this is being addressed properly. It is. We put everything on the table. We wanted the city and the council to understand the parameters were what we were hoping to accomplish here. I think we've done that. We've had good dialogue. But please be assured that we intend to follow the ordinances of the city. Dave Schultz, our civil engineer, is just going to make a brief comment about where we're at with the engineering study and the traffic report.
Hi, David Schultz, HR Green, licensed engineer. I work at 651 Current Drive, Suite 201. I'm also a resident of Yorkville. Just to recap a couple things quick. Phase 1 included 108 lots. Phase 2 was 248 lots for a total of 356 single-family lots. We had approval on Phase 1 in 2006, and we had appraisal or approval of Phase 2 in 2002. It includes 189 acres, of which Lot 1, which we are creating from Phase 2, is going to be 31.6 acres. Also, thing to note, the stewards have a current bond on Phase 1 to complete all improvements that are outstanding today. We hired a third-party engineer for the traffic study, which you have in your packets. I'd just like to point out a couple results. And on page 13, if you read through those two traffic evaluations and conclusions and recommendations, you will find that westbound left turn lane at both the intersection of Ashley Road and Kenman Road is recommended. There is, however, also a recommendation and no warrant to require a right turn lane at this time. Again, this will all be handled through IDOT's standards. They have a final ruling on that to IDOT road. Also, it talks about the traffic. This study deals with the full build-out of 150 students and the full build-out of the subdivision. And those are the recommendations based on that. Just highlight quickly, the addition of the new traffic generated by the proposed school will accommodate the road, will accommodate by the roadway system. Westbound left turn lane should be provided on Schoolhouse Road, 126, at the intersection of Ashley Road and Pennant. And then the two site accesses, which we are proposing, one on Ashley, one via Pennant, will serve the total traffic that will be generated by the proposed development. Also, just to make a comparison, this isn't going to happen overnight. We're projecting 50 to 100 students to start off with. And just to make a comparison with what was approved prior of 356 lots, and taking out 84 lots would be the equivalent of 525 students. So that's the comparison between the two approximately. So a high school of 525 students would equate to the same traffic as about 84 lots, 710 lots. Stormwater management. Just to recap there, this was both phase 1 and phase 2 were accounted for and approved in 05 and 06 respectively. This accounts for the change in land use. We are taking out 84 lots and we're putting in a school. That has to be a balance. As stated by George Mahoney, that we are not increasing any stormwater or we're not decreasing. We are looking to make the same amount of stormwater. Everything is following the city regulations and standards. We have also included depressional areas that accounts for 4.9 acre feet. So if you imagine 1 acre, 4.9 feet tall, that's how much water in addition to our subdivision that we're accounting for to account for the depressional areas that drained via a field tile to their respective downstream connections. It also includes off-site flows to the west to eliminate parallel storm sewer, which essentially means it's oversized by 2 acres. The ultimate restrictor is 12-inch versus the pre-existing flows at a higher rate of flow. We also provided freeboard protection, which accounts for additional capacity of 6 inches. The overall runoff curve number, which is 74, is consistent with the land use of single family, and also the school is to match the same runoff curve number. This meets the City of Yorkville ordinances at the time of annexation and permit. We are dealing with 2 watersheds here. We have the Fox River watershed, and we're dealing with the Middle Aux Sable. There's 3 sub-basins that are tributary to the Fox River. We have Raintree Village, we have Hudson Lakes, and our phase 1 onsite, which accounts for about 176 acres. There are 7 sub-basin tributaries to the Aux Sable Creek. We have offsite Hudson Lakes, we have phase 2 onsite, which includes all of our water. We have offsite Sunny Valley Farms. There's an offsite tributary area that comes onto us and then goes off back onto Sunny Valley Farms, and that accounts for about 160 acres. So, just to recap, I feel that we met the ordinance in 2005 and 2006 when they were both approved and reviewed by your consultant, and we are here to continue to work with staff. And it's not very uncommon as we go through this process to compare these reports and submit. It's not that we were behind or lacking as this development. We're dealing with final plats, and we're dealing with amendments to annexation and engineering is staff. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to open it up to City Council if they have anything to add or ask or comments in general. Yes, sir.
First of all, we don't have the traffic study that was referred to.
Correct.
That's correct.
Correct, you do not have the traffic study or the stormwater management report, which was submitted on Friday, which is the day after package.
I mean, there's obvious concerns about the safety of Route 127. And yet, in what I said before, high school students coming and going, I would hope that some kind of traffic control device installed. It just makes sense to do so.
Okay.
When they were talking about the land cache, didn't we do a study a couple of years ago about our land cache and had an appraisal done?
Yes.
And
The result of that was a $30,000 evaluation per acre, but we chose not to adopt it by ordinance at the time, under the assumption that developments would be coming back to us to negotiate these items.
I do remember that we didn't adopt it, but I knew that we did it very well, so.
This high school will be in my ward, so I've received several phone calls throughout the last week when it became public knowledge and packets were sent out, things like that. You've taken care of the two biggest headaches I've heard about. The cell towers, and I'm sure Alderman Koch, my colleague in Ward 1, probably has got the same phone call. The cell towers and the wind turbine. Those were the two biggest complaints. The residents I spoke to didn't necessarily have an objection to the high school. They just had the same issues that we discussed here tonight. So the first two have really gone a long way to help me on my list. However, some of the concerns I still have. And first, let me say, I'm all for the high school. I want to work with the developers. I think it's a great idea, and I think that it does fit a need. I've always been one that believes that the private sector can usually do it better than the public sector, and I'm a big fan of private schools. I think what Mr. Mahoney was saying and Representative Anthony was saying and some of the other speakers were saying don't necessarily go against each other. Representative Anthony was speaking about the need for the school and how great it would be, while Mr. Mahoney was talking about some of their concerns. They weren't necessarily saying we don't want this school in our backyard, they just want their concerns to be met. So I think if we do our job as a city council, we'll be able to come together to an agreement that can satisfy everybody. And looking at the packet, the memos that were given to us, some of the concerns are obviously the land cancel donations, things like that. We're going to have to work out some sort of figure, some sort of number. That's the first thing I highlighted. I do have a concern with the phasing in of the parking lot. I understand why that's being done, if the entire parking lot will not necessarily be needed up front. I have a concern as far as history has taught us in development within the city of Yorkville. If we want something or we need something, we need to ask for it up front as a city. If we're not going to get it on the back end. And B, I'm always very skeptical and very cautious about rushing things. Today you're saying, well, we want to get this thing through because we want to get it before the construction season ends and things of that nature. And I understand that, but I want to make sure that everything's in order to do it right rather than rush it and do it wrong. My concern is for the parking lot is also then related to the stormwater issues. If we don't build out the full parking lot, and I understand we have our engineers working on it, and it's only proposed that 40% of the parking lot be built out. When you add 60% more parking lot, you're going to have water runoff issues that we won't know if they will be an issue 5 or 10 years down the line when this parking lot is done. And furthermore, and I don't know the stewards, I don't know the developers of this subdivision. They're just going by history, and unfortunately, our history in our subdivision in Yorkville has been rather disappointing as far as commitments. I'm concerned that parking lot will never come to be. I'm concerned that the parking lot will not be sufficient. So I just would like to discuss the parking issues a little bit more. The sign, you've already addressed that, Mr. Philipchuk. I have that highlighted as far as variances and sign ordinances. The signs that you are requesting are obviously outside the scope of our ordinances. So you have to come back for a variance on that. The special uses, I agree that we need to discuss those. You touched on those. These are the things that have highlighted and touched on. So in a nutshell, I'll give everybody else an opportunity to give their opinion. Those are some of the concerns I have. The residents I spoke to in that general area are not necessarily against the high school. They just want to make sure that those issues are properly addressed before we give it the green light and proceed forward. So those are the issues I would like to discuss in the future. Thank you.
And I don't know if I missed it. What type of parking lot was being proposed?
It's a traditional parking lot. What they're asking is called land banking. That's a tool that planners have used for several decades now. What happens is you calculate your stormwater management based off the maximum build out, which is the total impervious surface, and then up front you only build out a portion of the parking so that you don't waste money up front with blacktop and everything, and you reduce impervious surface to that time is needed. How most communities address it is they have a stipulation in there saying that it's at the sole discretion of the city council to build out the full parking structure. So if at some point we see there's an overflow of parking, students parking on the grass, we can then, as a city council, implement that full build-out be constructed at that time.
Is that bonded?
Yes, everything on Unit 1 is completely bonded by the stewards at a tune of about $1.8 million. That includes the road construction as well.
I was just going to say before Christie did it, that the stormwater was being calculated to the fullest extent of the build-out on the site. It's not the first phase. It's, in my understanding, it is the full build-out calculation of stormwater to address and then some. That's the intent of this development. Knowing the background on the development here, less impervious surface by reducing the footprint of the houses and the rooftops, reducing the driveways, reducing sidewalks, reducing the roads that were within this area. Those are all reductions of impervious surfaces. The additions are the parking lot, which is being accounted for, the square footage of the building, and their accessory buildings. Those are the items that are going in. As long as the stormwater calculation is not a high requirement, which per their indications it is not, they should be able to resolve those issues. As the engineering from HR Green stated, they're working to reduce the alcohol within the standards. It's been known that there are drainage issues out there that are being addressed, it sounds like. Those are the issues we do have to look at, make sure that they are done. They willingly took out the cell tower at this point and the wind turbines, which makes our life a little easier. And then IDOT is going to have the final say on what happens on 126. If it's a stoplight, whatever control mechanism, that's IDOT. That's out of our hands. We can have all the requests we want. The traffic studies are going to dictate that. There were some statistics that were thrown out there about how many people would, or students would be generated if it's a full development. If you're reducing 85 homes, that's a lot of daily traffic counts. I haven't seen the traffic study to see what the daily count was originally based on the original development, but what is being proposed, 85 plus units should overall be less or equal to it. You're going to have your 2 spikes more than that unit. As long as those can be accommodated, that's going to be dictated by the traffic study. Land catch is definitely something we're going to have to look at. Point was brought up that we did a assessment, they did their own, which is allowed by an ordinance. Those kind of things, those are issues we can work through. Engineering submitted, typically our process is we will amend something without seeing final engineering. It goes through the process while we're working through the annexation, zoning, those kind of things. I don't see that we can't make certain that the zoning issues and the other concerns are addressed. Otherwise, they don't get their approvals, they can't complete the project, they can't move forward. Like I said, it is bonded. All the work still does have the outstanding bond, so there is a financing mechanism there. I'll say in closing that this is a good project that I would like to see happen for the fact that it is a good community resource that we would have. We do have a couple issues, but I don't see why we can't go through them.
Yeah, I think my main 2 concerns is number 1 is the traffic, and 126 is pretty freaky to drive nowadays. So if there is a way, like there is, to at least control the traffic around there, maybe even somehow get the traffic coming towards you or slow down a little bit. The other thing is the stormwater. Your comment, taking care of the necessary stormwater as per code, and then some. I think we should focus on the and then some. Because the meeting before this meeting was pretty frustrating to listen to. I couldn't imagine having, okay, there's only 4 houses in the subdivision, but I've been living there for 8 or 10 years. School comes in, football games going on, now my basement's full of water. As a human, first and foremost, that would take me off to the first degree. So I would say just punch on that and then some, and let's see what can come from it. I don't see anything wrong with it. I am a product of a Catholic school from 2nd grade to high school, so this is what you might get.
I can't find it.
Anyone else in the council? Okay, I too agree that Yorkville Christian High School will be a great amenity to the city, great addition to the city. And like Alderman Funkauer said, all these issues will get worked out. So So, with that, we will close on the public hearing for BC 2013-12. Thank you very much. We do have one other public hearing. We're going to public hearing of Countryside TIF Bond refinancing. Is there anyone from the public that would like to comment on the Countryside TIF Bond refinancing? Is there anyone on the city council who would like to comment on the Countryside TIF Bond refinancing? Hearing no comments on the Countryside TIF Bond refinancing, we will close public hearing on that issue. Next, we'll move on to citizen comments on agenda items. If there's anyone in the audience that has a comment on an item before the city council today, please come forward. If it's not on the agenda, there is a point at the end of the meeting for general comments from the city council. Do we have any citizen comments? Yes, Ms. Bell.
I'm not an attorney.
Right.
It's been a while since I've been here. And really, I want to say, I told you a year ago, I base your performance on what you do. And quite frankly, one of the reasons why you haven't seen me here is because I think you guys are doing a great job. So, especially our alderman is very involved with our community. And I understand that we have a builder coming in, and we're thrilled. We've got a couple questions, so maybe we'll get them cleared tonight. We are very happy that our community is going to start to build up back again. So I want to thank you for doing a great job this past year, and for the alderman working with our community and our residents and our subdivisions. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bell. I'll come back more often.
Hi, my name is Jim Otto. I'm one of the 4 people that live in that subdivision, high school. First of all, Stuart has been nothing but great, very forthcoming with information. I do live off of 126, and it is a very dangerous road. I mean, I get past when I turn it off of Penn all the time, people off the shoulder. There's hardly any policemen, sorry. I mean, you can set up speed traps there all day and you can make your money. I mean, it's ridiculous. The speed limit is 45, 50, people are going 75. Motorcycles, that is, I mean, that's all you hear all day is ripping through. There's a couple downtown bars, I mean, that's the only way to get in, but semis also. I mean, it's only a two-lane highway. I don't know if you can expand it, but for safety, that is a major concern. My other concern is now living in that subdivision. Since there are only 4 houses, there's been a previous case where another builder in another subdivision came in, owned 4 lots, and more than 3/4 of lots, and he was able to change all that amendments, subdivision rules. Covenants, yes. So I don't know when Mr. Stewart decided to sell his to another builder, if he still owns the property, or who makes what the covenants, what we can do. I don't know who takes that over.
I don't know if there are covenants in Westwood?
I'm not sure off the top of my head. It's not something we typically would enforce or have the authority to inspect. So,
right. When I moved in, I mean, I was given a list of covenants, and so I don't know. And another thing is, I mean, we live in 3,000 square foot houses, and who's to say it's any built? The other 1,500 square foot houses, and completely drops the value of your home. More than the that's my main concern. So I could get another hearing on that, or that'd be great.
Did you know anything, Christie?
The only thing that I know is that the owners had just testified to me that they weren't changing any of the ordinances at this time. I don't think that they are contemplating to change them. I can follow up with them and have them respond to that in the next meeting that we have on the 10th. We can have that.
I mean, but that could happen.
That can happen in any subdivision that has an HOA. I mean, it could happen.
We don't have an HOA.
You haven't had an HOA. That can happen in any incomplete subdivision.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizen comments on the agenda items? Hearing none, we'll move on to consent agenda. I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Colesimo?
Aye.
Krasinski? Aye. Peters?
Aye.
Funkazar?
Aye.
Coe?
Aye.
Teeling? Pat?
Aye.
Next, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the regular city council meeting for July 23rd, 2013, and August 13th, 2013, as presented. Comments, questions, concerns on the minutes? All in favor of approving the minutes as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Moving on to the mayor's report, I will entertain a motion to approve an ordinance approving the second amendment to the planned unit development agreement, Windham Ridge subdivision, and authorize the mayor to be clerk to execute.
Second.
Comments or questions on this one? Roll call, please.
Peters?
Aye.
Colesimo?
Aye.
Funkazar?
Aye.
Krasinski? Aye. Teeling?
Aye.
Coe?
Aye.
Pat?
Aye.
Public Works, Kendall Marketplace Infrastructure, waste table. Material investments under economic development was tabled. We have no public safety or administration committee reports, nothing from park board. Moving on to plan commission. We have 3 separate ordinances under priority health, sanitation, and zoning. So we'll take them one at a time. I'll entertain a motion to approve the ordinance approving an annexation agreement, priority health and body makeover Inc., and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute.
I'll move. Second.
Comments or questions on this one? Roll call, please.
Funkazar?
Aye.
Krasinski? Aye. Teeling?
Aye.
Coe?
Aye.
Pat?
Aye.
Peters?
Aye.
Colesimo?
Aye.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the ordinance annexing certain territory, priority health and body makeover Inc., and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute.
I'll move.
Second.
Comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Pat?
Aye.
Peters?
Aye.
Colesimo?
Aye.
Funkazar?
Aye.
Krasinski? Aye. Teeling?
Aye.
Coe?
Aye.
Next, I'll entertain a motion to approve an ordinance approving zoning into the B2 General Business District for property located on the west side of Route 47, priority health and body makeover Inc., and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute.
I'll move. Second.
Comments, questions? Roll call, please.
Peters?
Aye.
Colesimo?
Aye.
Funkazar?
Aye.
Krasinski?
Aye.
Teeling?
Aye.
Coe?
Aye.
Pat?
Aye.
The Grain Reserve Amendment was tabled, so we will move on to Midland State Bank. I will entertain a motion to approve an ordinance approving a special use for a bank with a drive-through facility, Midland State Bank, 38 West Countryside Parkway, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute.
So moved.
Second.
Comments or questions on this one?
Yes, sir. I'm clear on this. This is a bank moving in basically next to another bank?
Yep.
Yes. We discussed it, and you can see it. Say it's viable.
Mr. Bates, do you want to add anything, or you're good?
I'm good. 132-year bank, independently owned, privately held. forward to come to the community and contribute.
And we're very glad to have you come to the community and contribute. Roll call, please.
Colosimo,
Aye.
Bunkhauser,
Aye.
Dilshuski,
Aye.
Teeling,
Aye.
Koch,
Aye.
Pratt,
Aye.
Reuters.
Aye.
No ZBA report, no city government report, city clerk
No
report,
report.
and community and liaison reports. You gonna do this thing, school board? Update?
I'm going to start with a less interesting, AACBB.
Thank you, Dave, good to see you.
Nice seeing you. Thank you.
Just recently had the monthly AACBB board meeting. They're doing very well financially. Reserves are over $200,000. They're adding staff to add with the needs that they have based on interest that they have had, the efforts that they're doing to help out with some events that are going to be coming up at Rich Parks Farms in the next 2 years, and other events that are being planned down in Aurora. So they are being very, very progressive and active, working on things that are going to support our region. We've actually seen benefits via some of their marketing tools that they utilize through Facebook, Twitter, and some of their other marketing pieces. So they are making an effort to actively try to meet our goals and objectives. I know we got our annual report from them, and they're working hard to try to keep us within the organization, put it nicely. So they're doing well. The one big issue that I see is the amount of cash reserves that they do have is a significant amount based on what I think they need based on the revenues that or the reserves that we like to keep on hand. But at least they have them in case other entities pull out or the state revenues are short. So that's a quick one on the ACB. School board meeting.
Quick question, do you have any idea what the percentage the reserves are?
I don't have the report with me. I will provide it next time, next month. I'll have the reserve fund what we have for that versus the annual fundings. So I'll have that for you.
Thank you, sir.
Last night was school board meeting. I did address the school board as being liaison to the school board and being a parent of students in the district. I was a little perturbed, to say the least, about the incidents that happened at the middle school. The school board had approved new curriculum for the middle school at the end of the last school year. They would be working throughout the summer on creating schedules and implementing the new courses. A couple days before the school board meeting, which was 2 days prior to school starting, they were notified that they were not prepared, that the schedules had not been substantially completed in order to start schools. So they canceled the orientation for the middle school. They put all the parents on notice that they would be doing alternative learning activities for the first couple of days until they resolved it. And I definitely did let them know that I was displeased with that. I was the only one that actually addressed the school board in the previous committee meeting or at the school board directly about the issue.
I would have thought the meeting would have been mild.
I was very disappointed that the community accepted what the school board allowed and what the administration allowed and what the staff allowed to happen. School board administration did not know what was happening. They were not apprised, as they stated, to the errors or the problems that were happening, and that's a red flag. If your leadership doesn't know what's happening, how are you going to be able to lead properly? So I know it was not the very pleasant place to sit for the next hour and 45 minutes after I made my comments, but I felt it was necessary. So.
Yeah, as a parent with a student in Yorkville Middle School, I agree. It was very, very discerning what happened with their scheduling. I think maybe the silence as a result of Superintendent Schiff. I thought he did a good job of taking the bull by the horns and handling the situation.
Yes.
I know I got an email right before this meeting notifying the community that the middle school principal had been let go.
Yes, that was one of the actions that did take place last night. But on a different note, with the high school expansion, their bids came in, as a lot of you may know, they came in over budget since they were hoping for an aggressive bidding process, which didn't quite happen the way they wanted it to. They were $1 million over their projections. They've managed to cut out a few $100,000, $400,000, but there's money that has to go back in that the school is going to be procuring equipment versus having it done through the contractors. So they're still looking to be $500,000 to $600,000 over budget. They are planning to fund that with a loan from their reserves. They did discuss bonds, alternate revenue sources, which they knew that would not go over very well. They didn't have the time to deal with that, so they basically worked an internal deal to basically fund it themselves, the extra $1 million or $600,000 to $1 million that they'll need to cover the construction costs.
Okay, any other community and liaison reports?
I was just going to say, the push for the path golf out is coming up in September. There will be more information about that.
There is a date? September 20th?
28th.
28th. Good. That was a big part of their proposal, the income generator proposal that was presented, so glad to hear that as we move forward.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I have one thing. During the school board meeting, I just want to relay a compliment to Eric and his staff from the school, and Brian Holt and his group. They did help with a couple water main breaks and one on I believe it was a student orientation.
Freshman curriculum night.
Yeah, curriculum night. So they were able to help alleviate any potential problems that could have been experienced. So they did have a lot of good things to say about you and your crew. So
I love them.
We're here to help. Anything else? Community liaison reports? If not, move on to staff reports.
Turn it over to our Director of Parks and Recreation.
It's Hometown Days weekend is coming up, and I know everybody's excited to be out there Friday.
I didn't announce that yet. I don't know how to announce that. All of them received an email. We are going to be attending the beer tent on Friday evening with Park Board. Park Board going to be there?
Yes.
Park Board.
Park Board.
It's a partnership.
But we, in the past, the winning team always got to designate where the tips went to what charity. And I think this year we agreed that all tips would go to help finance fireworks for Yorkville for 4th of July. So I thought that was a good idea, our staff's recommendation.
Just to give a brief overview of the events, Thursday night Carnival opens. We do have Redwoody playing on Thursday night. Friday we have, all American English, Carnival, usual vendors, our usual event, and of course our guests, beer vendors, the City Council and Park Board. On Saturday, we start with we have our stunt bike shows on Saturday. New this year, we actually have the Junior Women's Club Craft Show at Hometown Days, so that'll help draw a lot more people on Saturday and Sunday. And then we have Mike and Joe on Saturday night, and Sunday, again, Pride and Joy car show, and the craft show will be out there again. High End Fidelity comes on Sunday night, so it's our 21st year, so we hope to see everybody out there.
Yes, and as Ted pointed out to me in our staff meeting today, it has rained every Saturday since I've been there. But the forecast is very bright for this year, so it's a good thing. Okay, anything any other staff reports? Additional business? Yes, ma'am?
I just noticed that our Saturday morning, our farmer's market, we get nobody, like what we used to have. Do you know why there is? Is it because of the construction there's been a fall? Like I went by Saturday and we had a hot dog guy and one vendor. Just to kind of have more than that.
we're gonna look at things next year, because Joel had made some suggestions to improve it and really work with, we talked about, the Junior Women's Club actually talked about maybe running the event, or running the farmer's market and really help pull in more people, so we're hoping that next year it'll be a lot better and maybe move it as well, depending on construction.
That was my next suggestion.
Yeah.
I ever thought to bring it to like the riverfront park, that there'd be more parking and there's people there with
The nice
kayaking and canoeing.
The part with town square is it's high visibility and people just pull off. That was why it was a preferable location, but if construction moves further north, you know, maybe, but right now it would be good to have a riverfront, it's difficult to get around on the south side, so.
I was just curious, I had kind of noticed the last areas I thought by, but it's not what we both the previous year.
The EDC had directed the park board actually to come up with some recommendations to improve the farmer's market. I believe that's, they're kind of on some schedule, so I don't think that addressed quite yet.
Thank you.
Any other additional business? I did have one thing I did want to mention. On September 15th, I've been asked to be a fashion model for the Senior Services Fashion Show. So I will be a fashion model for the Senior Services Fashion Show on September 15th.
You're gonna look great if you're a Wayne.
It may open a whole new career opportunity for me, so let's not...
I thought you were going to be a seniors.
But the point I would like to make, this is our largest fundraiser for senior services for the year. They do have tickets available, table of 10. I have to call table of 10, so sure would be nice to have all my city council colleagues attend this fashion show.
How much is the table of 10?
Is that on a Sunday?
Yes, I believe it's Sunday, September 15th. I will let you know as soon as I get the tickets. Anything else on additional business? If not, I will entertain a motion to go into executive session for the discussion of minutes of meetings roughly closed session minutes. No motion or second? Okay, meeting adjourned.